Down the Witch's Road, you have come to Marvel-ous Movie Mondays with Kelsey and Dill. Welcome, everyone. Happy Monday. We have a new Marvel show out. That's so exciting, Kels. How you doing?
I'm doing really well. I'm really excited, Dill. Um, yes, we do have a new Marvel show to talk about, and in my opinion, a very good Marvel show to talk
Okay,
about, which we can't
nice.
always say. So,
Yeah, it's one of the better ones of late, I will say. I am waiting to see how it unfolds, but right
yeah.
now I was after episode 1, I was like, I don't know, and then episode 2, I was like, all right,
hmm
I'm in. I really think this should have been one episode rather than two. I know it doesn't really matter because we're getting them at the same time, but I think it would have been a better cohesive episode to set up the premise of the show to air them together. Because after the first episode, I was like, all right,
Yeah.
but I'm definitely more sold after the second episode than I was the first. We do have to get to some business, though. It is, the start of Halloween season because we're talking about Agatha. We could save this for last, but I know a lot of people are tuning into our show to hear what we are going to be unveiling as our 31 days of Halloween, which is very exciting. Usually, Kelsey and I talk about the best thing we watched this week, and we talk about news. Today, we're talking Halloween. We're teasing our schedules. Kelsey's schedule is not finalized because she picks her movies at random, so we don't know which day is which film. My finalized schedule is ready. So I'm going to share mine first since people know the movies I'm doing. They just don't know the order because I shared my movies on the Facebook page. I spun the wheel. And this was the lineup that your choices, your votes inspired for my 31 days. So I'm going to very quickly, because I know we have 2 episodes of Agatha to get to, but I'm going to quickly share what my 31 days of Halloween are. And I have a little graphic for it. Here we go. My 31 days of Halloween. We're kicking it off with the
Mm.
original Fright Night. And then we have like a little double feature of the People's Joker and Joker Folie à Deux in theaters. Then we have a classic Freaks. And then on the 5th, this is very exciting. I'm going to the North American premiere of the 4K restoration of Hellraiser at the New York Film Festival, which will be fun. So I'm adding that to my list. Titan on the 6th. Then we have Signs, M. Night Shyamalan Signs. The Fly, the original Fly, made the list. We're all going to the World's Fair, and I saw the TV Glow, another kind of double feature of Jane Schoenbrunn films. The original classic M on the 11th. On the 12th, we'll be watching Phantom of the Paradise. On the 13th, The First Omen. On the 14th, we are watching Mike Flanagan's Ouija Origin of Evil, and we are starting our binge of The Haunting of Hill House because I'm going to watch all 10 of those episodes as well. So figured the 14th would be a big Mike Flanagan day. The 15th, we're
Mm.
doing The Thing from Another World and episode 2 of Hill House. 16th, we're doing Totally Killer and the 3rd episode of Haunting of Hill House. 17th, we're doing Creepshow and then the 4th episode. Late Night with the Devil on the 18th for a late night Friday night treat. Then the 19th is my mom's birthday, so I let her pick which one she wanted on her birthday, and she said Gremlins 2, the new batch. So we're watching that on the 19th. And watching what Matt has told me is the best episode of Hill House, the 6th episode. On the 20th, a bunch of us on the channel are doing a Buffy draft, which will be recorded on the 20th and air on the 21st. But I'm watching the movie Buffy the Vampire Slayer on the 20th. The 21st, it's sticking along with the vampire theme. I'm watching the original Vampire, the silent film. 22nd, we're doing Creature from the Black Lagoon. 23rd, I leave for Minnesota for the film festival. So I will be sleeping away in a hotel. So I figured I'll watch Sleepaway Camp on the 23rd. And then on the 24th, chances are because I'm going to be on a flight back home, I will be watching it on my laptop. So I figured I'll watch Unfriended. Pretty good to watch on a laptop. The 25th, I'm watching Psycho Gorman. The 26th is when I'm going to go see Venom: The Last Dance. I assume Kelsey would probably like to tag along for that. So we'll have to make an arrangement to do that. The 27th, Your Monster, also in theaters. And then we're doing a little monster triple feature. We have Your Monster, then Monsters Inc., then The Monster Squad. And then, of course, ending it with Hocus Pocus on the 30th. And on the 31st, we're ending it, as always, with Halloween. I watch those 2 every year. So there is my list. There is my schedule. It is unveiled. It is out there for all of you. But now, the fun moment where Kelsey has teased the theme. She's told us what
Yes.
she's doing. She's doing sequels, spin-offs, remakes, and prequels. But she has not told us what those 31 films are. So Kelsey, you have the stage. Let us know.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to apologize because Jill, I'm so sorry I didn't get you a graphic this year.
No, it's yeah.
Completely.
I'll put one together for you, Kels. In post. There will be graphics.
Oh, okay.
They will all be just logos. There's no schedule for you, so I'll put
Yeah.
like logos on. But there will be a graphic. I'll do that for you.
Okay, great, because I made one last year, but I forgot. Okay, so like I said, I'm doing sequels, prequels, and remakes this year, and these are all first time watches except for one kind of, and I'll get there when I get there.
Okay.
Because you kind of inspired me to include this last movie Dill. Okay, so basically I'm doing all of like the second installments in any of the major franchises. So I have Scream 2, Aliens, Evil Dead 2, Jaws 2,
Oh.
Annabelle Creation, Paranormal Activity 2, Insidious Chapter 2. I should have done this in a better order. Gremlins 2, the new
Oh,
batch.
we have an overlap there. That's fun.
Halloween Town 2, Calabar's Revenge.
Good one.
Oh, then I have Halloween H2O 20 years later. I know there is a Halloween 2, but I wanted to do one. I wanted to watch one that still had Jamie Lee Curtis in it. Oh, Child's Play 2. There is a Blair Witch 2 called Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. I'm watching the
Good
second
luck.
movie in the what's that movie called? The Silence of the Lambs movies. There's 3 movies in that
Okay.
one,
Yeah.
Silence of the Lambs. Hannibal is the one that I'm watching, and then there's also a third one called Red Dragon with Andrew Norton. Yeah, and so those are for all my second installments of all the movies. And then I have some prequels on here. So I have the second installment of the Annabelle movies is Annabelle Creation, so technically a prequel. There is a new prequel coming out for Rosemary's Baby on Paramount Plus called Apartment 7A, which
Yes.
I'm really excited to watch that because I was really intrigued with Rosemary's Baby. Psycho 4 is called Psycho 4 The Beginning, so I'm assuming that this is a prequel. I'm watching The Exorcist The Beginning. Another prequel I'm watching is The First Omen, which was released this year in 2024.
Another crossover for us. Yeah, we have 2 now.
Perfect.
Gremlins 2 and The Omen, The First Omen. Cool.
I'm also watching Maxine from this year. I also have Doctor Sleep, Beetlejuice,
Absolutely.
Ghostbusters from 2016 with Kate McKinnon. And so for my remakes, I have Rings from 2017, Haunted Mansion from 2023, just last
Okay.
year,
Yeah.
The Thing from 2011, Carrie from 2013, A Nightmare on Elm Street remake from 2010.
Good
Um,
luck.
the Grudge remake from 2020.
Okay.
Um, a Texas Chainsaw remake from 2003. There's 2 that I forgot to mention. I'm watching
Oh,
Dawn of the Dead from 1978,
okay.
which is kind of like a loose trilogy of the living Night of the Living Dead,
Mhm.
and a Poltergeist remake from 2015. I was really struggling with finding a 31st film because I only wanted to do things that I had never seen before or movies that I have also watched from past 31 Frights of Halloween. And you had a director's cut on your list, Dill. So I included the Donnie Darko's director's cut in my
Cool.
31 Frights.
Cool. So kind of like a reimagining more than a remake, but yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
different version of a movie you've seen. So I think it counts. Cool. That's awesome, Kels. I mean, what a great list. Some movies there that I know are pretty terrible that I'm excited for you to watch to see if you like them more or if you're gonna endure the suffering I once did. But also some really good classics in there that I'm very excited for you
Yeah.
to watch. And it's just so interesting. Yeah, like remakes is fun. You have
Yeah.
like Rings, which is a remake of Ring, which is a remake of Ringu. Like so that's just really fun.
Right.
Just like seeing like the kind of what are they called? The China dolls, I guess, or the dolls in a
Oh, the
doll.
Russian dolls. That's just like a
Russian, not
doll
China
within a
dolls. I
doll.
don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool list. I'm very excited. Two
Yeah.
very different approaches here. I'm kind of just I spun randomly to decide my movies. She intentionally decided her movies, but it's gonna spin randomly for the order. We do have 2 carryovers though: The First Omen and Gremlins 2. So we'll have to check back with each other and see
Yeah,
if we both
absolutely.
like those films. And I did just see Beetlejuice, so we'll talk about that as well. But there's also some you have on your list that I've never seen, so you'll have to recommend them when they come. But there you go, 31 Days of Halloween. It's locked in, it's set in stone. We'll begin that October 1st. I'll be starting with Fright Night, the original, and Kelsey will be starting with whatever the random generizer decides. Generator. Wow, why did I say generizer? I don't think that's the
Generizer.
word. It is
I like
now.
it.
Kels, let's talk about Agatha. Agatha All Along. It was the titles. Every single month we got a new title, and then the whole joke was it was Agatha All Along, and it's like, haha, I see what you were doing. And that's kind of what this series feels like. It's very cheeky. It's
Yeah.
very like, you know what, we're setting something up, and we're gonna make it very obvious that it's a misdirect, and then we're gonna misdirect. And I think we saw a lot of that, even with stuff that hasn't been paid off yet. Like we know who this boy is. We know who these black fingers belong to, like, as we go. So I'm like, you know what, it's gonna be fun watching these revelations, but we like it because it's kind of campy, kind of silly. They're really leaning into the hocus pocusy type nature of it while still making it scary, which I think is good,
Yeah.
especially with that second episode. So Kelsey, what were your thoughts? I know you said you liked these episodes, but any like more specific thoughts on just the general episodes themselves?
I mean, I'm really liking the performances. This is a really stacked cast of some really great people. Dill, am I an idiot because I don't know who Joe Locke's character is? Did
We'll
I
talk
miss
about it.
that?
We'll talk about
Okay,
it.
great. You can
I
explain it to me.
oh yeah, we'll talk about it because I think there's two giveaways for me, but we'll talk about it.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, they call
Well,
him
then
Teen. The thing is, they call him Teen. So like, you obviously know it's someone we know or need to know about. That's important. Like, they would, if it wasn't a character we've already met, we would just call him their name. The problem is they're just calling him Teen, which seems like a very obvious, like, oh, we're gonna reveal that later type deal.
okay. Okay, well, I can't wait for you to tell me
And
that
because
because
he's a teen, the chances are we've already seen him as a kid. And if we're looking at who the central figure of the last series that Agatha was in was, we know that there are maybe two kids that might be around that might be trying to get their mother back somehow. I
Oh,
think he's
I
one of the
see what you're
twins, right?
saying.
I think he's
Oh,
Tommy or
so
Billy.
you think he's Billy? Tommy is the one that has the Quicksilver powers, but
Yeah, it's whatever
but
the other one is, the one that's gay in the comics, because you're also the second giveaway
Billy.
is you're casting Joe Locke, who is like, this big gay icon. He was in Heartstopper, queer actor. I thought it was obvious, but I might be wrong. I don't
Oh,
I would love to be
interesting.
I would love to be wrong, and then everyone like trolls me because they're like, you said it was obvious. But like, that's
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
was
yeah.
getting. That's what I was getting from this. Like, I thought that was because the second they showed like the dead body in the woods, I was like, that's Wanda. And like, it didn't take long for them
Right,
to confirm that, so I felt better about it. I was like, are they really gonna
right,
like make us think it's anyone else? Like, are they really gonna
right.
fool us? Like, it's Wanda. She's wearing the hoodie, she's got the black fingers. But then like they showed her name on the card, and I was like, all right, so you were at least confirming that. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's where I was at. But I would love to be wrong because like I think it's more fun when it's unpredictable. But like I don't see how it's not, because it's like, why would they just call him Teen? You know?
I love this thought, and I can't wait. I personally I had nothing, so at least you
Mm,
had like an investigative hat on. I was just like, oh my god, what a mystery! Like I lights on, no one's home. So let's
gotcha.
just start from the top of episode one.
Mm,
Seekest thou the road? We didn't get our typical Marvel intro. We got a brand new Marvel intro, just kind of one screen that says Marvel Television. So there was no da 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 da.
yeah.
I'm not
I
singing
think
the
they're
theme
trying
song very
to
well,
distance
but
I think they're trying to distance their television from their films at this point, because like, yeah, it's weird. We've gotten like the MCU intro for some of these series. We've gotten the Marvel Spotlight intro for some of these. We've gotten like the Marvel special presentation for some of them, and then we
mhm,
got Marvel animation for X-Men. It's like, pick one. you know.
yeah.
Um but we'll see. We'll see. I don't think it
So
makes much of a difference, but yeah.
our opening shot is Agatha driving in a car. She is humming along to a tune that starts playing in the background. We'll hear this song many more times throughout the next duration of these two episodes. And she is seemingly a homicide detective driving to a crime scene. She meets with Herb, who's also a detective, and she's there because an unidentified woman has been found dead in a ditch in the middle of the woods. Her cause of death was that she was crushed, and that the only thing on her body was a library card with only a bunch of dates on it, no names for who might have checked it out or didn't check it out. And they have this cheeky little conversation where Agatha asks him, or yeah, sorry, I refer to her on and off as Agatha and Agnes, so I guess until she becomes Agatha, I will just say Agnes. Agnes
Yeah.
asks Herb, "Oh, like, is she really dead?" And he looks at her and he's like, "No, she's definitely, like, really dead." And then she kinda, like, gives, like, a nudge, nudge, wink to the camera, and it's like, "Well, you never really know." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think they're just
Which
trying to keep a door open to see if like Elizabeth Olsen would ever consider making an appearance again.
Yeah, it's gonna be very curious because I don't know if like Elizabeth is gonna like come in this series, like it's gonna build to that, or if this is just like
Mm.
a wink, wink, nudge, nudge, kind of like the Blade thing in Deadpool and Wolverine, where it's like we don't know yet, but like we'll wink at you, you know.
Right, right, right.
So I don't know. It sounds like from all her interviews that she's done, but like
Yeah.
contracts and money will say otherwise. I know she hasn't been marketing Agatha at all because her movie, or his three daughters, just came out on Netflix yesterday. So like I know
Mhm.
she's very preoccupied. I'm planning on watching that later today, so I'll check back next week and let y'all know how that is. But I do think, yeah, it's very interesting. Um, yeah, I the whole Wanda stuff, I was curious because I was like, are they trying to like say that like the Wanda stuff is over? This is Agatha's story, but then it seemed so revolved around it to where I was like, it took me a while to figure out exactly what was going on, but I think it's like kind of like the WandaVision thing of like every episode's an homage to a different show, and this is like the true crime, and this is how like Agnes is in this world. She's obviously in her head because last time we saw her, she was being trapped in like this like nosy neighbor mentality and body, but like I guess she also kind of can escape to other types of television series, and the whole Mayor of Easttown referencing with like
Mhm.
Agnes of Eastview or something like
Westview.
Westview, yeah, like I get the homage that they were trying to do. They were trying to almost make it feel like a WandaVision episode from Agnes's or Agatha's perspective. But
Mhm.
yeah, all the Wanda stuff was just I feel like merely a setup to unlock Agatha from her, for Aubrey Plaza to like kind of just uncover that. Um,
Right.
but I'm very interested to see what the Wanda of it all plays into it. If also Joe Locke's character is one of her kids, but
Right.
I just don't know with the whole Wanda stuff. It was almost kind of like they were building mystery, but I don't necessarily know if they're going to follow through with that, or if that was a mystery and that was it, was just revealing the name to make her turn back into a witch. Like if that was all the
Mm.
Wanda stuff was serving. I don't know yet. We'll have to see.
Yeah. So, while investigating, Agnes finds a brooch laying in a puddle. She picks it up and hides it from Herb. I always want to say Herb. Jesus Christ.
Herbs and
Herb.
spices, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Hides it from Herb. Um, and we never do see the face of the body. And then we get this TV intro, like you were saying, for Agatha of Westview, which is definitely a play on Mayor of Easttown. Uh, yeah, that's what it's called, right? Mayor of Easttown.
Mhm.
For a second, I thought I
Yep.
said Mayor of Eastview, and I was about to be like, my brain's breaking. And I was actually the second time I watched these 2 episodes, I actually watched them with the subtitles, so it did say that, the intro song to this true crime television show is called The Ballad of Witches Road True Crime Version, which I
Mm.
thought was very funny. And then at the end of the kind of, intro sequence, it says, "Based on the Danish series WandaVision." Um, and I think it's just like a play, obviously, on WandaVision, but I did
Yeah.
Google what Viz Dyson is in
Wanda
Danish,
Viz
and
Dyson. Yeah. Is
yeah,
that just Vision?
Wanda no, it's not Vision, it's the display nozzle
Okay.
in Danish. So I don't know. I don't think it
I
means
think it was
anything.
just
I
a
couldn't
stylistic thing, yeah, to
Yeah.
like kind of wink at us. I really, yeah, I think this is purely like I feel like they just didn't know how to get to the witch of it all, and they were like, "Well,
Mm,
wouldn't it be fun if like we're just doing another WandaVision for a little while, and then we have like one character that doesn't belong come in and pull her out of it?" Like, I don't know. I think this was just a little gimmicky. Like, I liked it, but also I think the problem is they were leaning into the tropes of it being like kind of this like kind of stale, hitting the genre beats crime story
mhm,
to where like I
mhm,
wasn't invested in it because like I knew
mhm,
it was Wanda, so like all the mystery of like who that body was, I knew, and the other part
right,
is like I just wasn't as engaged. It was very purposely lethargic and de-energized, but because of that, it kind of made me de-energized. I wasn't like leaning in to be like, what is going on? What's this mystery? What's this crime? I'm just like, all right, when is she gonna become a witch? Like, and I think
right,
that was the problem is the episode took a little too long to get through all this, like kind of trudging through the mud to then sprint toward the water, if that makes sense. So I don't know.
yeah.
I was not the biggest fan of this opening. It's a cool idea, but like I just think it was a little long. And then they do the theme song, and it's like, all right, I get it, unless this was going to be like a WandaVision show where every episode is that, but it's not. It was just merely the first like 25 minutes to set up for later.
Yeah, this was all stuff that was revealed to us in the, um, trailer for the series anyway. So
Yeah, they
it's
show
not
her
even
name
like
on
there
the
was
library card. Yeah.
exactly, like, there wasn't even an opportunity for this body to be a mystery because they had told us that in the trailer. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
So it
I
just felt
kind
like
of
it was turning its wheels, just waiting to get to the actual story. Yeah.
I mean, I definitely get where you're coming from, Dill. I personally did enjoy this parody take on a true crime show. I just also think that Catherine Hahn is doing a great job, just like, balancing all these different kind of aspects of this character, like, oh, this version of her in a true crime, and now we're seeing Agatha for who she truly is, but then she
Yeah.
also, gets to put on, she definitely gets her to flex her chops a lot in this series. So
While we're still at this part, did you
yeah.
notice one of Herb's dialogues, his dialogues, one of his lines? He says, "She's really most sincerely dead," which is a reference to the Munchkin Land sequence in Wizard of Oz. She's really most sincerely dead. When the coroner's singing,
Oh,
like na 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 na, she's merely dead. She's really most sincerely dead, and he goes, "Yeah, she's really most sincerely dead." He says it like a normal line, but I was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
Wizard
yeah,
of Oz, because witches, I get it. That's the kind of shit that I like. Like that's the kind of stuff
yeah.
where I'm like, ooh, I want more of that. Where it's just like playing around with different witch mythology. We see this. I know I'm jumping ahead, but like in the credits, post, like in the end,
Mhm,
with like all the different
mhm.
witches and like I love that. I'm like
Yeah,
that. That's kind of cool. I like that. I like that because that's also very subtle. Like only probably 5% of the viewers actually probably picked up on that. But
yeah. No, I like that. Thanks for pointing that out for us, Dill. And I
gotcha.
also wanted to point out that obviously this is a whole play on Mayor of Easttown, who actually Kate Winslet won the Emmy over Elizabeth Olsen back in the 2021 Emmys.
Right.
So I was like, are they like kind of coming at this show that kind of like ruined all of their chances of like any, not like coming at it, but just like
Right.
doing like a, oh yeah, because we were up against that show, and you know what I
Which
mean? It
was
feels kind of
probably
purposeful.
better, but yeah, like I
Yeah,
think it's one of those things where they accept defeat more than they're like bitching and moaning about it. They're just like,
yeah,
"No, yeah, you beat us, and you rule." So there you go,
yeah.
you know. But
So
I don't
then
know.
Agnes goes to see Dottie working at the library. We have all of our Westview favorites featured back again, which
Oh yeah,
I liked. I don't
very
think we're
happy
ever
to
going
see
to see
Dottie.
them again
Oh
um,
yeah, you're right.
for the remainder of for the series, unfortunately. But it was like fun to like see everyone again.
I was gonna say there's one Westview favorite who gets somehow brought into the group who
Oh,
we will
Dill!
see. We will see.
Can't wait to talk
Well,
about
there's
that.
one exception. We will see one.
So Dottie basically explains to Agnes that the book was never rented out. It was actually stolen 3 years ago. Agnes visits a section of the library where it came from, and the entire section has been burnt to a crisp. This is when we see the mailman behind one of the stacks of books, and he's like, "There was a fire. Every single copy was destroyed." And it's just like this really funny, like, it's definitely getting me in the mood for the spooky season, which I've been
Yeah.
enjoying. Roy is back. The guy who played the piano is back as the police detective. He has this crazy Midwestern accent. And I wish if they were going to like play on the fact that like in Mayor of Easttown, there was like, they had really thick Pennsylvanian accents. So they were
Hmm.
doing like the whole like home and alone and like all of that. I wish because Westview takes place in Jersey, I wish they gave them all real, like a Jersey accents. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like us. Yeah.
Like
Or they
us.
just cast us, like we're here.
Yeah, like I'm available. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, and so Roy tells Agnes that an FBI agent has come in to help her with the case, and this FBI agent is Aubrey Plaza, who is kind of very much just giving this air of like, all right, I'll play in this bit. Like, I know this isn't who you are, but like, sure, if this is gonna get her to
Yeah.
be Agatha Harkness again, like,
Okay.
I'll go along.
I had a question, and I asked this to some of my friends too, like
Sure.
Carly and Stacy, and I was like, I'm confused. So her whole motive is that she wants to kill Agatha or something, but like, why would she want to kill her? Not when she's in her like catatonic Agnes state. Like, wouldn't this be the time to strike? Or like, what is her purpose in trying to like bring the witch out of Agatha? If like her job is to stop Agatha, why would she be trying to make her more powerful? Or is she trying to stop her? Because what we're getting at is like that this is an antagonistic force, but they also kind of have a
Hmm.
history, which like is not going to be ignored because this show is very gay and very horny, and they're very much making attention to it, drawing attention to it. That has been acknowledged by the actors themselves. But like, there's very
Yeah.
clearly that like romantic or sexual attraction, but it's also
Yeah.
like I just didn't understand the motives here. It seemed like they brought in Aubrey Plaza to be that catalyst to make Agatha realize she was Agatha and then take off her clothes and now she's a witch again. But I'm also like, if she's the villain trying to stop her, wouldn't she want her to stay as Agnes so she could like defeat her easily? Or I don't know. I think this might be something we get more of later to flesh that out. But like, I was just confused by the overall motive of Aubrey Plaza, unless it was, and Carly made this point. She was like, maybe she was there to kill her, but because they have a history and like kind of like this steamy attraction, she was kind of like playing with that, and then it just like Agatha ended up coming out of it, and she was like, "All right, I gotta just fight her as Agatha type deal." But I don't know. It just became a little hazy. I like the idea of
Yeah.
like bringing in this dynamic, this kind of challenge to her, this kind of oddly sexual but oddly like menacing kind of chemistry. But like, I don't know the whole like series of events of like she came here to kill Agatha, but also like wants to resurrect Agatha out of Agnes, but also like is blaming Agatha for the Darkhold, but doesn't really seem to need Agatha to get the Darkhold herself because the Darkhold's destroyed. I don't know. I was just getting a lot of kerfuffle in terms of the whole purpose of this relationship beyond just like we have a history and we hate each other, you know?
Yeah, Dill, it's definitely murky. It definitely feels like their history is definitely gonna be brought up, and it feels like there was some kind of, like, betrayal that happened between the 2 of them, so maybe she kinda just wants, like, revenge for that. They do say during their altercation at the end of this episode that they're not even allowed to kill one another because they're
Mm.
both witches. I guess that's, against the witches' code. So I don't even think it's about killing her. I think it's just about, like, kind of seeing her demise, and like Agatha says in that moment, she's like, "Don't you wanna see me kind of at my best? Like, this isn't even a fair fight right now because I don't even have my magic." And I think that
Oh, so that was
satisfaction
the
of, like,
reason why she brought her out of her, brought the
yeah,
Agatha out of her.
because I
Okay,
think
yeah.
she wanted her to, like, be a full-blown witch again so that they could kinda not have a fair fight, but just, like, kinda having the satisfaction of, like, defeating someone when you know that you're better than them. Because if she defeats her now, it's just gonna be because, "Oh, well, she was in a catatonic state and
I
ignoring me."
That actually makes
You
a
know what I
ton of
mean?
sense now. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I like that perspective. I like that idea because I the
That's
whole
what I
time I
was
was
getting at
struggling with it,
least.
I'm like, so if she's against her, why does she want to make her more powerful by making her Agatha again?
Mm,
But that makes a lot of sense. It's like almost like the personal ego and pride getting in the way of like, oh no, I
yeah,
want to see Agatha Harkness again, so I can rub it in her face that I one upped her,
yeah,
which makes her all the cooler, I think, and also adds that steamy kind of weird like tension that you can go with a knife. Like I really like Aubrey Plaza's character. I obviously want to see more of it.
yeah.
But yeah, this was a cool introduction, a cool dynamic. Like, I mean, there's quite literally a line where she says, "If you want to be in control, you can be," and I'm like, "Come on, this am I
Yeah,
watching
yeah.
Challengers? Like, come on." Like,
They have a
whoa.
few okay, there was definitely a few moments where I was asking myself, I'm like, "Are they in love?" Like, I it's steamy for
Which
sure.
because it's Disney, they're gonna like go there without going there. They're gonna like tease it and then never do anything about it. And then like a side supporting character is gonna be gay, and they're gonna be like, "We did it," and we're gonna be like, "No,"
Right. But
you know.
honestly, Dill, this show has gone places where I didn't expect it to. Like, she's already like so during the scene with the police detective when Audrey Plaza's character first shows up, she's like, "Obviously, I don't wanna work with an FBI agent," and he's like, "No, she can help with the case," and she looked at him and literally said, like, "Kiss my ass." Like,
I wrote it down. She says, "Eat my ass," which is
wait,
even more graphic.
even better! This is what I'm
Yeah, no,
talking
like we're
about.
talking about eating ass 20 minutes into a Disney Plus series. I'm like, hey, there's
Yeah.
progression. Ryan Reynolds, you broke down the door, and now we're running through it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I
He
think
broke
that's
the glass
yeah,
ceiling.
yeah, right. Better analogy there. Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I think it's definitely going more places, and just the general vibe is a lot more like it feels a lot more like your more adult kids, like maybe late teens, enjoy this more than kids will. Kind of
Yeah.
like the edge that Hocus Pocus kind of has, even though Hocus Pocus is still a little bit more for children than this is. But like, I do think they're trying to go there and be a little cater a little bit more toward the people who have now grown up and like especially some of the more queer fans who are like, in it for the raunch and the kind of the camp of it all. Like part of that is the camp, kind of this like midnight movie type vibe that you would see in like a Rocky Horror or something like that. Not to that extreme, but like getting there, like touching on it just a tad, which I think is cool, which is really really cool.
Yeah. No, for sure. So then later on, Agnes takes the brooch that she found to the pawn shop guy who is Norm. Happy to see Norm again, and he reveals that it's from the late 17th century and came out of New England. Obviously, alluding to the fact that this is from Salem, Massachusetts, and that he actually opens it up and discovers that it's a locket, not a brooch, and there's somebody's hair inside. And I'd really like to find out whose.
That I don't know. I was able to figure out some things, but that jury's still out on that.
So later on, Agnes is back at the police station. She's obviously working late. She's trying to find any clues pertaining to this book that was stolen from 3 years ago. And the title of the book is Dialogue and Rhetoric, Known History of Learning and Debate by Andrew Ugo. And she discovers that the first letter of every word in the title of the book spells out dark hold, and that Andrew Ugo is just an anagram for Wundagore. That's not something we saw in the episode. I had to Google that because I saw the name and I was like, what is that? What's happening there?
I thought you knew that off the top of your head. I'm like, you're a genius.
No, I wish I was that
You
smart.
are genius, but like, yeah, okay. We're humbling you a little bit here.
Thank you. Sometimes the universe needs to humble you.
It's okay. I don't think anyone would have known that off the bat, and if they did, then you're a freak. Sign up for our trivia league.
when Agnes goes home, she hears a dog barking in the distance, and she does mumble to herself like "stupid dog." And I feel like this was just play on like when she killed Sparky. She obviously has a problem with dogs. And when she goes into her house, she walks into seemingly a child's bedroom that has like trophies and paintings and all this stuff. This obviously is very hard for her, so I'm assuming that this is a child that has passed away. And we see the name on one of the trophies, and the name is Nicholas Scratch. And so I looked into this Nicholas Scratch guy, and Nicholas Scratch is actually a character from the comics who is actually Agatha Harkness's son. And Nicholas Scratch lives in New Salem, Colorado, and actually later on becomes the leader of this kind of like commune of magical people in Colorado. And Agatha leaves him, or like leaves the commune in general, because she wants to live amongst the like normal people. She doesn't want to live amongst the magical community anymore. And she actually ends up becoming a nanny for Sue and Reed Richards, for their son, Franklin Richards, which I thought was interesting. And so in the comics, Nicholas lies to the community and says that Agatha betrayed them. She didn't want to be a part of them. She revealed their secret location. And so he is banished to the Dark Realm. And if we remember from WandaVision, the name of Agatha's rabbit is Senior Scratchy. And so I think I have a prediction that she does have this son named Nicholas Scratch, but for whatever reason, whatever
like a Peter Pettigrew thing, he's a rabbit.
He's been like turned into a rabbit, and maybe she needs to break the hold off of him or something.
The dark hold. Rabbits. Yeah, I like that theory. There you go. Yeah. Like we're coming. This is what I've missed about just covering. Because here's the thing: like a lot of the shows we've watched, it's like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, great, but like there wasn't a lot of like mystery there. Same with all these other shows. I mean, Loki, we kind of got that. Moon Knight, we got it a little bit, but like Secret Invasion, we didn't have that. Like it's been so long since we could just like kind of just fester and theorize, and I think that's what this show, that WandaVision, that was the strength of WandaVision, and I think that's what we're getting with this one as well. And I went into this not liking this first episode. Now I like it more because I'm like, oh, there's things to think about. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah. We're almost out of this Agnes of Westview delusion. So there is then a knock on the door, and it's Aubrey Plaza's character showing up with some pizza. She's trying to like, she said she didn't want to come over to talk about the case, but Agnes can't help herself and says like, oh, there was a car wreck in Eastview an hour before time of death. I think it might have something to do with it. And as they're having this conversation, Aubrey Plaza's character's doing her best at trying to poke through the delusion, and is like, oh, so like, where have you traveled? How long have you been here? And Agnes can't really come up with any answers because she only knows, this moment kind of right now as this character kind of thing. And in that moment, someone has broken into her home, and it's Joe Locke. And the reason that we find this out is because after a chase sequence, Mrs. Hart hits him with her car. So Agnes is able to catch him. He brings him
Mm.
she brings him to the precinct for questioning. He reveals that he was looking for the road, and Agnes is like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." So she starts showing him evidence from the case. It turns out to just be pictures of flowers of someone's garden. And he's like, "What are you talking about? Why are you looking at that painting? The two-sided window in the police station like turns into a painting." And the delusion is starting to kind of crumble around her.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah,
he starts chanting in Latin. Go ahead.
no, just you said Miss Hart hit Joe Locke with her car, so you could call it a heart stopper.
Oh my god.
I rule! That is the best joke I've ever made on this show because it's so clever. Anyway, guys,
It
carry on.
I take credit because I teed you up for that joke.
You did. You threw
I
the
take
pitch,
some
but I hit
credit,
the home
sorry.
run.
Okay, yeah, you're right, you're right. Um, and he starts chanting at her in Latin, um, seemingly trying to break her out of this spell. She goes to the morgue because she's like, "No, there definitely was a body. I'm not going crazy." This is when we get our Wanda, our W Maximoff reveal on the library card that's attached to her foot. We also see that some of her scarlet hair is poking out from the sheet that she's underneath. Um, and so Agatha's starting to feel rather warm. Also, Aubrey Plaza shows up again and she tells her to claw her way out. And so now she starts taking off every layer of and pretty much every iteration of Agnes O'Connor that we've seen throughout WandaVision. We see her in the outfit that she was in from the last episode. We see her in her Juicy Couture jumpsuit that says naughty on the butt. We see her in her 80s look, in her 60s look. We see her as black and white Agnes O'Connor.
That was a cool look.
And then we jump to her standing absolutely butt naked in her living room. And she has just woken up out of this spell that has been placed on her for 3 years. So obviously, she has to go investigate. She runs to her neighbor, Herb, whose name is not Herb. That's the name Wanda gave him in WandaVision, but I don't know his name. And I was afraid to IMDb anything because I didn't want to spoil anything
Spoil
for
anything. Yeah,
myself.
yeah. Yeah, that's fair. If it
So
said
she
like
goes
Mephisto
to,
or something.
but yeah, exactly. So he, uh, or like I did for Deadpool and Wolverine when I found out that John Favreau was going to be in it. So, he kind of kills it in the scene. He's very funny. He's like, "Do
Mhm.
you want to put some clothes on? Cause you're naked." Like,
Yeah. Yeah, it
it's
was very funny and very
yeah,
tasteful. Like it wasn't extreme. Like someone told me like, "Oh my god, Marvel doing full frontal." I'm like, "Really?" And then I watched it.
yeah,
I'm like, "Y'all overhyped it a bit." Not saying that like what they did was not pushing the boundaries, but it was very tasteful. And Catherine Hahn said that she wanted this to like she wanted to do this. Like it was her idea. So like go for
mhm,
them. Like they're trying to at least be a little bit more like take bigger risks. You know what I mean?
mhm,
Even if it's still PG-13 as opposed to R. I don't care though. It was a cool way to show like yeah we can be like adult too. You know like we don't have
yeah.
to just be for kids. You know.
So we basically find out in the scene that everyone she's been kind of just mumbling around, uttering nonsense, and people have just been kind of like appeasing her and just going along with it to like keep her calm. So she's been like kind of trapped in this own delusion in her head. And we only see Catherine Hahn's butt, and it was great. It was fun for the whole family. I recommend it.
10 out of 10.
And so she finds Joe Locke, who has been tied up in a closet, and
Yeah,
she's
he's
like,
been
"Oh,
locked away.
so when I arrested you, it was kind of more of a kidnapping." And in that moment, Aubrey Plaza blasts through the door. They have this fight sequence that we've been talking about, where she's like, oh, she does say this one line during the sequence where she's like, "This isn't how you want me," and then Aubrey Plaza goes, "Yeah, I want you horizontal." And then like a beat passes and she goes, "In a grave." And I was like, okay, I think something hinky's going on between these two.
I don't know, something
Um,
hinky, something hanky panky, I don't know.
so instead of killing her in that moment, Agatha convinces her to spare her so that she can get her magic back so that they can have a true fight. And she's like, "Listen, I'm not going to obviously hurt you now, but I'm gonna take a lot of pleasure out of like all the other people who come after you, and one of those groups of people being the Salem Seven, which I predict might be the seven witches that Agatha killed when she left her cousin, coven.
Coven. I
Sorry,
got you.
I
I got you.
auto corrected
It may as
myself.
well be family. No, yeah, that's a good theory. Like
Yeah.
I support it. I endorse it.
And so then we are played out by Season of the Witch by not, I only know that song by Lana Del Rey, but I think it's the original Guys version.
Gotcha.
Episode 2, Circle Sewn with Fate, Unlock Thy Hidden Gate. Joe Locke, basically, Agatha is getting ready to leave. She's like, all right, the Salem Seven's coming after me. I have until sundown. I'm out of here. And so Joe Locke stops her and is like, "Hey, listen, I want you to take me down the road. I know you've been down it before and I know it exists and I want to do it because I want something, you want your power back. I think this is a good idea. We can make something happen here, a little quid pro quo, if you will."
Mm,
And so he does convince her, but they do need a coven to access the road. So they have to go on search of some witches to join them to do that. But Agatha
yeah.
has a bit of a not great reputation in the witch community, so
Yeah.
it's a struggle.
Yeah, it's very cool because this was, if we made the reference to episode 1, this is the Wizard of Oz. Like it is, we're gonna go down the path. We're gonna get you and you and you and you. We all want something different, but we're all going to the same place, the same
Oh
road. Ease
yeah.
on down the yellow brick road. And she even references Joe Locke as her Toto. Like it's very overtly trying to replicate that formula, which I really like. Again, like
Mhm.
paying homage to like classic witch stories, but doing it very differently, obviously, than Wizard of Oz because everyone's got a little bite to them, a little anger, some
Mhm.
sort of witchy devilishness below the surface. So, but I thought it was like a really cool way, and I honestly wish they had done all of episode 1 in like 15 minutes, and then like they started this at the 15-minute mark, and we got like a full hour-long episode because I think this is where
Mm.
it started to see like I started to see like, oh, this is a series now. Like this is what is the goal. They were going down the road. This is the team we're following. The first episode just felt like more like, how do we get from WandaVision to Agatha All Along? This is our bridge where I've always said I hate the bridge episodes as pilots because it was the same thing with
Mhm.
She-Hulk, where the pilot was episode 2. That's where we understood what the actual premise of the show was going to be. Episode 1 was just showing us how we got the She-Hulk's powers, but the whole premise about the lawyer was episode 2. This feels like the same thing. The whole road thing starts in episode 2. Episode 1 is just basically acquainting us with Agatha again, having gone from Agatha back to Agnes back to Agatha. So I like this episode, this 2, much more because I think we're now finally
Yeah.
getting the meat of the story and what we're actually meant to expect from the show. And I think the camp silliness, all that is amped up, also by the characters she surrounds herself with too.
Absolutely, Dill. And then before they leave, though, to find their coven, this was the first the first instance where Agatha asks, she finally asked Joe Locke who he is. She's like, "Who are you?" And then as he says his name, it is blurred out by almost seeming like a thread and needle is stitching his mouth closed so
Mm.
that she can't hear or see what his name was. And
Well,
instead,
she can't hear it, but did you see what shape the thing made? It was almost like a W, almost like a Wiccan W. It almost made like a
oh.
W on his mouth. And do you notice when he put up the banner, "Welcome Coven," and she tore it down? Do you remember the one letter that stayed up?
Oh, W?
It could be Wanda, but it could also be who's not Speed. Speed's the other one. Speed's the fast one. Who's the other kid? Wiccan. I don't know. I'm connect. I feel like a true
Oh.
detective. I feel like a detective today. I'm putting the pieces together and I am seeing the threads and matching them up. This kid's Wiccan. I'm gonna, you know what, Kels? I'm gonna do it right now. I'll put $50 on the table, deposit. If I'm right, I'll get it back. If I'm wrong, you can take the $50.
Oh my god, Dill. I'm not taking any money from you, but I do appreciate
Okay, never
how
mind.
yeah, it's okay. Um, I do appreciate how passionate you are about this theory, and you might be onto something. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying the only thing that makes me doubt this a little bit is because he does say in the episode that he's 16, and the last time we saw Billy and Tommy, they were about like 10. So I feel like the oldest they could be now 3 years later is like around 13, maybe 14 if you push it. But
Are they aging in real time though? We saw in WandaVision they aged very quickly.
Okay,
We
all
saw them
right,
as
fair enough.
babies, and then yeah. No, I'm
You're
not
right. They
saying
did.
anything.
They did. They
And now
did
that
age
Wanda's
themselves up.
dead, they're not eating as much ice cream, so they're probably able to like develop faster.
My
They
God.
can't sing that stupid ass song anymore. Like I don't know. I think I'm onto it. And also, isn't Wiccan gay in the comics too? Like I think that also checks.
Yeah.
Because Joe Locke is not hiding anything. As he shouldn't. He's
Well,
a very out proud gay actor. So but I don't know. I don't know.
well, it's not even that. My next point is literally like when they're driving in the car, he gets a phone call from a contact that says "boyf." So like it's confirmed. Like his character has a boyfriend.
I didn't even see that.
So
I must have been typing because I was making notes as I was watching this. They were
yeah.
very stupid, terrible notes, but like,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, I could like I'll just give you an example. Like
Yeah.
I wrote, if you want to be in control, you can be. Oh, so she wants to fuck her. That's very obviously one of Wanda's kids, right? I mean, his name is just Teen. That has to be a misdirect. Like I'm just like credits rolling. Where the fuck is Patty LaPone? Like I'm just reading my notes. I think it's so funny.
That's so
I was so
funny.
pissed when Patty didn't show up in the first episode. That's why I wish this was one big episode because I had to wait
Mm,
a whole 5 more minutes.
yeah.
Just kidding. We're about to get to her though.
Well, we're about to meet her right now.
Oh,
So
she's so good.
while they're driving, Joe Locke is asking Agatha, "Oh, where are we gonna find a coven? This is a nightmare." And Agatha says, "Wherever you are, a coven there shall be." And she says, "Whatever in a 3 mile radius of wherever you are, there's another witch to be found, basically." And so they stop at a psychic, and the psychic is Patty LaPone. They kind of go through this like fake story of, "Oh, we came here because we need you to tell us about my dead husband's gold bars." And within this ruse, Patty LaPone kind of like breaks the bit and is like, "No, I know exactly who you are. I've known who you are since you walked through the door, and whatever you want, I don't want to be a part of it." And that is when Agatha, oh, her name is Lilia. Lily, yeah, Lilia's leggings. Um,
I
but
just gotta say, I love
go
her. She
ahead.
is so
Yeah,
good. Like she
yeah,
never reins it in. Never reins it in. Everything is just so good. All her facial expressions are so broad and everything she does. It's just like she's so into it. And like you could obviously take this paycheck and just run away, but like she's making the
yeah.
most of this paycheck. She gets to sing later. Like she is
Oh,
eating it up.
yeah.
And I'm very happy for her. Very proud of her. Good for Patty.
And so Joe and Agatha go back into Lilia's kind of space that she lives in and try to convince her to go down the road. And the only reason why she does is because she kind of gets these sporadic visions we've been seeing throughout the episode, where because she's a divination witch, she can see the future. She gets these like sporadic visions, and one of her visions has her write down a list of 4 names that will be joining Agatha and Joe Locke to go down the road, and one of the names she writes down is her name. I just love side note, I just love when she says, like, she stops and she's like, "The road is a death wish." And I'm like, "Ooh." I'm like, "Oh my god, you killed that line, Patty
She
LaPone."
kills it. I love her. I want her
She's
to be the main
eating it up.
character. Sorry, Agatha. Sorry, Catherine Hahn. But I love you. But Patty stole the show from me.
Eating and leaving no crumbs, as the kids would say. Um, And obviously, every witch that comes into contact with Agatha is afraid that they're like, "You just want to steal my magic because I know you don't have any." And she's like, "Well, fun fact about me is that I actually can't take magic. I can only receive it if it's blasted at me. So as long as you don't attack me, I
Yeah.
can't take your magic."
Yeah. And there's no way she would ever like try to get them to attack her anyway, right? Just kidding.
Right. Also, during Lilia's vision, she does bring up the card 3 of Pentacles from a tarot card deck. And I just looked into what this card meant, and it's the card for teamwork and shared goals. So
Hmm.
obviously, it's because she's going to find a coven that all want to go down the road for their own reason.
Yeah.
Um, Also, throughout the episode, Agatha keeps having these random moments with random animals. So the first one we see is that she kind of has this long gazing trance that she gets in when she sees a raven. So I'm like, is this a person who's kind of like transforming themselves into animals, like following her, or does this have to just do with the Salem 7? I was I was
Well,
confused. I was
we had our
unsure.
theory that her kid might be her rabbit. What if he can become other animals? It's her
Mm.
son, Scratchy.
Maybe, but then I don't know why she would be so, like, afraid of, like, seeing it
True,
if it's just her
true.
son, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good point.
So then the next witch that they go to is Jen. She's a potions witch that sells, like, candles and lotions and serums and stuff like that, and she also doesn't have any magic. So that is kind of their take on her to get her to go down the road, um, and then Joe Locke's character actually ends up kind of blackmailing her in a little bit and is like, "Oh,
Mhm.
you're facing like legal trouble. You might as well get your magic back so you can make all of this go away." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she kind of gets put on board, and then the last witch they go to is a protection witch by the name of Alice Wu. Alice Wu is also a blood witch because she is a daughter of another witch by the name of Lorna Wu, and Lorna Wu is a rock star from a rock band. I didn't get the name, but I think it was called Lorna Wu and the Coral Shore. I could be wrong, but it
Mm.
was also giving me kind of like Stevie Nicks vibes from like Stevie Nicks and like Fleetwood Mac because people
Yeah.
always say that
Yeah.
she's like kind of witchy and like
Mhm.
so I was like, "Ooh, I like this." And her hit song is actually called Ballad of Witches Road. So that's um how the song became popular. And this is a really interesting way that they get Alice to be on board is because they go to her job in the mall where she's working as a security guard for a store that reminds me a lot of Spencer's Gift Shop. I
Yes.
know you're familiar too.
Oh, we have been together. Yes. We have been
And
inside those stores.
because they're looking at all these like chokers and like very like goth heavy like inspired things, so it's very much giving that vibe. And so Agatha tells Joe to run and it kind of looks like he's about to steal something, but Alice tackles him before he can do it. He didn't have anything on him, so she gets fired on the spot by her supervisor, and now she kind of also has her own little reason to go down the road because she doesn't have anything else going on. She just lost her job.
Mhm.
And sorry, I should have mentioned this before. Her mother, Lorna Wu, went missing on the road and never returned.
Right.
So another objective for her is to find out what happened to her mom.
Yeah.
They all gather at Agatha's house. All three of the witches show up, and they're like, we need a green witch. We have a protection witch, a potion witch, a divination witch. We need a green witch, one that
Yeah.
can work with the elements."
Yeah.
And
Sadly,
so
one is booked because her movie comes out in November. Cynthia Erivo is not around to play the Green Witch. Um, at first,
you're
that's what
so
they said
right.
when they said Green Witch, and then I realized they meant like the element like Earth Witch,
Yeah,
not like
yeah.
green, like green. I was like, oh,
You-
is are they bringing the Wizard of Oz literally into this? And then I realized I was like, no, they mean like the one who can be with the green elements of the Earth. Which would be Aubrey Plaza, I'm guessing, but like they
Yes.
don't want her there, yeah, or she
Yeah.
doesn't want her there. Okay.
Yeah, so there was a fourth name on the list that Agatha refuses to, acknowledge, so she ends up recruiting Mrs. Hart, who's actually goes by the name Mrs. Sharon Davis, played by Deborah Jo Rupp, who is just gardening in her garden. Perfect little homage to, like, being a green, witch, working with the elements, working with the earth,
Yeah.
and Agatha invites her to a party at her house. And the party at her house in question is just her and five other women standing in the basement of Agatha's home. So Sharon Davis has so many funny moments throughout the duration of our last scene here. The first thing she says is like she's looking around the basement and she's like, "Are we all gonna do laundry together? Like what's happening?" And so Agatha gets the witches together. They all hold hands because in order to activate the road to appear to them, they have to sing the Ballad of the Witches Road. So they all start singing the song. Jen, the potion witch, asks, "Well, who's going high? Like who's going to take the high part of the song?" And Sharon Davis goes, "Oh no, thank you. I don't take drugs." And it's just so delightful. She is such a delight to watch. Um, and so they start singing the song, halfway through the song, Sharon's like, am I supposed to know that song? She's
I
just
really
making
like
me giggle the whole time.
there's characters in all these things like Eternals. There's like the photographer for Kumail Nanjiani who's like just
Yeah,
there, and he's like
yeah,
you know, like there's Martin Freeman in Black Panther. There's always those characters who feel a little out of place, but this one is one of the best examples of it because I feel like by the end she's like, all right, and then she's just like singing. She's like, no, like she
no,
just gets it,
literally,
and I think that's what's
yeah,
fun about it is it's like, you know, you're not gonna milk the bit too long, and they might still in the next few episodes, we don't know, where she'll just be like constantly asking questions like I don't know what I'm doing or whatever. But I think it's just
right,
kind of fun that like it starts off that way, that by the end she's fully just sold it on board. I'd love it if they just never acknowledge it again. She's like, yeah, I'm a witch. Like
right.
I think it was such a fun like way to like just introduce this character as like a real character, not just like a supporting background player, which was fun. Yeah, I love her. She's great too. Deborah
Yeah,
Jo.
I'm so glad they decided to include her in more of this because I honestly didn't get enough of her in WandaVision.
Not at all.
Um, But yeah, like you said, she, they're as they're finishing up the song, she's like really getting into it. She's like dancing, holding their hands and singing along. While all of this is going on, the Salem Seven have shown up to Agatha's house, and Joe Locke is doing his best at keeping them out of the house for as long as he can. We get some really good jump scares, some really scary stuff happening. So I really hope that it kind of maintains this balance of like, yeah, being a Marvel TV show, hitting all those beats, having the comedic addition of Deborah Jo Rupp, but also, it is spooky season and this is a show about witches. I hope they really lean into a horror element as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was freaky. There was like jump scares. There was, you know, just the design of them. It reminded me of for any Buffy fans, like the episode Hush, where it's like these just like dark figures who come into the town. It's
Mm,
like unsettling, which is good. Don't go full on horror, but like be unsettling. Like because
yeah.
Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness was labeled as a horror film when it was in first production, and I feel like they dumbed it down as much as they could to make it accessible. But like I really want them to go full fledged horror eventually someday.
Hmm.
I don't know if it'll happen, but this might be the closest we'll ever get.
So then once they're done with the song, the door ends up not appearing for a really long time. So Agatha starts baiting the witches into fighting her so that they all blast her with their magic, but they're all too smart enough to actually go through with this. And as they're all arguing, the door appears at their feet in the floor. And that is when Joe Locke comes tumbling down the stairs and is like, great, is that the door? Because we got to go.
Yep.
These
He
people are
unlocks
here.
this door.
Exactly. Uh, God, I really want to find out his name just so I can stop saying Joe Locke.
But it works so well. I mean, he was locked in her closet. Now he's unlocking
Yeah.
the door. Maybe he's the key to all this.
Ooh, maybe he's
Ooh,
the key to all this. So all one by one, all the witches start going down the steps down into this down into the door, and Agatha looks at Sharon Davis and is like, "What does your gut tell you?" And she's like, "Okay, down, down, down the road." Like she starts singing this song again. She's like hurling. I don't know what I was trying to say. As she's scurrying down the steps and
hurrying is what you were going
yeah,
for.
hurrying. That's what I was trying to say. Hurrying
Hurrying.
down the steps. And right before one of the Salem Seven can get Agatha, she shuts the door, and then the floor seals shut on top of her. And then they walk down the spiral staircase into the woods. They see the road. One by one, they all take off their shoes
Weird.
and they start
Is the
walking down the
road
road.
carpeted?
Um, the only thought that I had about this deal was that it did remind me of when you see the Wicked Witch of the East's shoes and her feet like sticking out of the house. So maybe there's like a ritual where witches have to remove their shoes sometimes. I
Yeah.
wasn't 100% sure why this was happening.
Yeah. I don't know.
But alas,
Maybe Quentin Tarantino directed this and we just didn't know it, you know.
oh God.
He's
So
got
we
a
finally
fetish.
get to the end of episode 2, and they're on it. They're on the road, and
Easing
we
on
still
down.
have eight more to go. Right? There's 9 total.
Well, this would be 7 more
6.
because this is 2 technically.
I can't do
We
math.
did it. Math.
We
Numbers
watched
girl.
the whole show.
Wow, there's only 2 episodes left. No, yeah, I think talking about it now, like I'm more sold. Like the second episode really showed me, like this is what it's gonna be. It's all these witches who don't like each other but have a common place they need to be with different goals, all going down the road. There's this mystery character and teen. Um, yeah, I like it. I think it's really good. I think it's solid. I am not 100% sold yet because we have only merely gotten the inciting incident. Now it's like, where's it going to go from here? Where's it going to end up? But I'm very much more on board with the second episode than I was the first. So I'm really excited. I think this is a good, like you said, like there's good horror, there's good camp. This feels like kind of just a little bit more of an adult hocus pocus, and I think that's kind of what this should be trying to go for. And I think if it sticks that landing, it's going to be a real fun spooky season treat, and we get to cover it all month long and next month. Yay!
Yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, I'm obviously excited to do my 31 Frights, but this show is just like putting the icing on the cake. Like I'm gonna be in full-fledged spooky season mode, all month long,
Yeah,
and I'm just really happy. I'm just really
yeah, me too.
happy.
Me as well. Well, that's it for this. Kelsey, anything else on these episodes to mention? Any other Easter eggs? You didn't have anything else?
I didn't catch on to anything else. There are websites that break down the Easter eggs for you, but I only like
Mhm.
to look into them if it's things that if I notice throughout the episode.
Yeah, I will
Did you
say
have anything else too?
I'm looking at my episode 2 notes, and
Yeah.
they're more unhinged than I thought. I watched this like 3 a.m. last night just because I've been doing a lot of prep for
Okay.
a lot of things on this channel, and I was just late at night. Mom and I were still up because my mom is a night owl, so I was like, let's watch Agatha. Then the first episode ended, and I was like, I might as well watch the second one. So this is my episode 2 notes. Joe Locke's accent is that's what I wrote. His
Okay,
American
he's
accent. He's trying. He's
trying.
trying. He's trying. He's trying. You know, he's trying.
There are some words where I notice it more than others, but for the most part, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt.
it's not even as much the words as it is like the way of like, you know what, like sometimes British people will talk like this, and like sometimes they'll just talk in an accent, like it's almost it gets a little like the rhythm of it is a little bit more British,
Mm,
but it's okay. Then
sure.
I wrote, this is just the plot of Kevin Costner's Horizon, except instead of flyers for a town called Horizon, it's the road. Because the whole thing of Horizon is it's always like, this is a better place where everyone will flourish and everyone will have great resources and stuff. Here's go to Horizon, which felt like this. I said Patty in all caps, exclamation point. I also wrote in all caps, I hate rats, even when they look like fake rats, like this fake as fuck rat, but I hate that rat. And then I wrote below it, except Remy. I like Remy. Anyone can cook. Then I wrote good costuming in the show. Then I wrote, this song is very Hobbit. Because it is. Yes, Patty taking the high harmony in the bridge.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I wrote that as well. That was my notes for episode 2. As you can tell, I was invested enough to where that was all I wrote down. So like, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, Patty taking that high harmony at the end because she was like singing the like middle alto low harmony at the beginning, and then at the end she's like, don't. I'm like, yes, yes,
Yeah, yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes, 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 yes,
No, yeah,
yes,
she killed
yes,
it. Do you think there's
yes.
gonna be more singing?
There better be. There better be.
Okay.
I hope so. Like, come on.
Yeah,
No,
me too.
I would be very scared if there isn't. They were doing an interview, Patty and Aubrey, and Aubrey was like, I want to do Gypsy with you, which means like maybe Aubrey's gonna sing too. She's like, I really
Mm,
want to be in Gypsy with you, which would be nuts. Even though we're already getting a revival of Gypsy this year. But like
mhm.
if Patty were to come back and play Gypsy Mama Rose again with Aubrey Plaza as Louise, that'd be nuts. But yeah, big fan. I like this second episode a lot more than the first, and I like the series so far. So we're back on track. We're back on track, people. Marvel's back. We always say that, and then
Yeah,
you know what happens. But
right.
Kels, we're gonna find. Oh, we can tease next week. We're actually taking a break from Agatha, sadly, next week. We'll be back for episodes 3 and 4 in 2 weeks. But next week we actually have our crossover. Matt is gonna be coming on this show to do Howard the Duck as part of our first Avenger Files. We finally reached the 80s, and the next thing in order is Howard the Duck. We planned it out so that we are now at the 80s with Howard the Duck, so that'll be a lot of fun. And then you can stay tuned. It won't be Monday, but it'll be sometime in the next week or two. Kelsey will be on Frame Rec with Matt and I to talk about Madam Web. We've already done a review here, so we'll be kind of digging a little deeper into what makes it so bad it's good on that episode on Frame Rec, or maybe it's just bad. We'll have to find out. I'm very interested to see if we've like changed our tune to where we're like finding enjoyment in the badness, or if it is just simply bad. And then Matt will be here doing Howard the Duck next Monday, and then 2 weeks from now, you can stay tuned on our Letterboxd and her TikTok for our 31 days of Halloween, 31 Frights of Halloween. Hers is a lot more fun titled. And we will be back doing episodes 3 and 4 of Agatha in 2 weeks here on Monday. Kels, anything else to plug? Anything else to note? Anything else to mention? about this?
Nothing.
Cool.
Nothing.
Very cool.
Nothing.
Nothing? You want to at least plug your socials so they can find you?
Oh, sure. You can follow me on
You're like,
Instagram. I'm
I
at
am nowhere.
I'm off the grid these days. You can find me on Instagram at Kelsey A. Kilpatrick. You could follow my TikTok, watch the 31 Frights of Halloween at Kelsey A. Kilp. And then my letterbox is the exact same thing at Kelsey A. Kilp.
There you go. And yeah, follow me at Dylan_Randazzo. That is also my letterbox. So 31 days of Halloween, starting on the 1st with the original Fright Night. We will be doing 31 straight days of movie watching. My schedule is going to be jam-packed because I'll also be in the midst of New York Film Festival, which starts on Friday. I'm overbooking, but I don't care. I'm so excited, and I'm excited to have you all along for the ride. So stay tuned. One more time, this is my schedule for 31 Days of Halloween, so you know exactly what to do. Screenshot that, and then go to Kelsey's TikTok to find out her order there. And we will see you all next week with Matt as we talk about Howard the Duck. Bye, guys.